Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Alba Tojeiro and I am a biologist with a master's degree in oceanography and marine environmental management. I am currently working at Submon, an NGO based in Barcelona and founded in 2008, which works with the study, conservation, management and awareness of the marine environment. We also promote a sustainable change in the relationship between society and the ocean. During this lesson, we will be introducing the methodology and the protocol used to involve target groups in active and direct participation for the development of the capacity building strategy for managers and users of marine areas within the Natura 2000 network in Spain between October 2017 and December 2018. The methodology was developed by the University of Galway and the Whitaker Institute. All this work was developed for WWF Spain. This capacity building strategy was developed within the Life IP Intemares project. The main objective of the project is to implement the prioritized action framework for Natura 2000 in the Spanish Marine Natura 2000 network and ensure that, upon completion, Spain has a consolidated network of Marine Natura 2000 sites managed in a demonstrative, effective, and integrated way with the active participation of the sectors involved and with research as a basic tool for decision making. This strategy sought to cover and solve the capacity building needs of the Natura 2000 marine network in order to achieve the conservation objective in the different areas. The goal of the capacity building strategy was to identify, prioritize, and implement a medium long-term state-level program in the marine areas within the Natura 2000 network, which will make possible to facilitate an adequate participation, management, and decision-making, aiming that the activities that take place in this space do not put their natural values at risk. The target groups were main users and managers of these areas, civil servants and public employees, self-employees or employed, unemployed in different sectors. Here you can see the timeline of the whole development. The collective intelligence methodology was used in both target groups in active, direct participation for the development of the capacity building strategy. Collective intelligence is a barriers and value structuring methodology. It is a process of critical learning and reflection followed by action, and then by more critical learning to enable mobilization, design, and development with people rather on their behalf. This methodology utilizes easy-to-use software, interpretive structural modeling, which aids participants in the consolidation process. Collective intelligence takes participants through 4 stages: barrier generation, barrier categorization, structuring barriers, and generating options. This methodology was used for identifying the existing barriers and necessities in terms of training for the stakeholders of the Natura 2000 marine networks, always taking into account their conservation objectives. The barrier generation phase takes place online and is complete prior to a one-day constellation workshop. The second phase, barrier categorization, is first done by an internal working group and then complete by participants during a one-day constellation workshop. The structuring barriers and the Rating options phases are also be completed by participants during the one-day consultation workshop. This methodology was carried out at national level. Therefore, the participative process was implemented in the same way in the 5 marine subdivisions, also called demarcations, established in Spain according to Law 41/2010. North Atlantic, South Atlantic, Strait and Alborán, Levantine Balearic, and Canary. Before starting with the methodology, some task has to be done. First of all, we have to establish an internal working group consisting of 5 members, a marine expert, a social expert, an expert on the thematic, the person who will be facilitating the consolation workshop, and the co-facilitator. A strong facilitator is required to manage the internal working group and its responsibilities, facilitate the consolations, and play an impartial, neutral role in the workshop. As a range of participants are included in the consolations, it is inevitable that they have a diverse range of interests, views, values, and barriers, which may lead to conflict. It is important that the facilitator must be capable of handling any conflict and ensure your working group and constellation participants reach an unified approach. The co-facilitator will be present during the constellation workshop to aid the facilitator. She or he is responsible for recording the participant views and inputting the data into the software package. The internal working group was the same for the 5 marine demarcations. Before continuing, it's important to know the golden rules of facilitation. The facilitator is there to guide participants through the process. The facilitator should not contribute to the content. The facilitator should remain reflective, curious, and open throughout the constellation. The pace should be slow, and the facilitator should not rush the stakeholders through any of the stages. If the group gets fatigued at any stage, give them a short break. Next task is to identify and clarify the trigger question. This question is used during the barrier generation stage to initiate thinking, reflection, and discussion among participants. Our question was, what are the specific barriers and necessities related to training and capacity building of users and target groups in Marine Natura 2000 network areas? Before continuing, it is important to emphasize that it is necessary to ensure that all the stakeholders understand the question they are being asked. It is necessary to make sure that there are gaps in training and always in relation to the Marine Natura 2000 network. In order to do this, we need a process of many phone calls and emails before receiving any answer. Now we have to identify the participants for the online consultation. In our case, a total of 1,845 stakeholders were identified from different areas, such as public administration, education community, communication and outreach areas, NGOs, fishing industries, tourism sector, marine transport, etc. Therefore, now starts the online consultation with the first stage of the methodology, barrier generation. During the first phase of the barrier generation, all identified stakeholders are sent an email asking them the trigger question. Stakeholders had to set up a maximum of 5 barriers and a maximum of 3 necessities. They are provided with a number of started phrases to help them generating barriers and necessities. You can see these started phrases at the box in the slide. The second phase of barrier generation is done by the internal working group, which will collate all the barriers and delete any duplicate barriers. We define duplicate barriers as barriers that are an exact copy of a previously identified barrier. Furthermore, each barrier statement should only contain one idea. If the barrier contains more than one idea, the internal working group split the barrier into two separated barriers. We obtained a total of 337 barriers and 246 necessities. The second stage is the barrier categorization. In the first phase, the members of the internal working group categorize all the barriers between 8 different categories. It can be less or more, but the ideal number is 8 categories. The second phase will take place during the consultation workshops. We did a total of 9 consultation workshops around Spain, so the next steps were done 9 different times. At the slide, you can see an example of 3 different categories with some of the barriers. Now, it is time to prepare the one-day consultation workshop. We have to choose a suitable training venue for the workshop. Should be spacious and with natural daylight. Also, the room must have clear wall space to display the barriers and categories like the photograph you can see in the slide. It is recommended that the space has tables and chairs that can be moved, so at the beginning of the session we can start with a U-shaped style, and at the end of the session we can reconfigure the room to let participants work in groups. Also, it is time to do the participant consultation recruitment. We need a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 21 participants, and all the different areas of stakeholders should be covered. The mixture of diverse groups ensures that there is a representation of all interests and values. The main goals of the workshop are working together to understand the barriers and to generate options to overcome barriers. Each workshop starts with the second phase of the barrier categorization, where the participants review the barriers and the categories to see if they are happy with the barrier categorization. The categories and the barriers are placed on the wall, like in the photograph you see on the slide. Participants are given green sticky notes, so they can use them in case they want to move barriers to another category. They just have to write their name on it and place it on the barrier they think would be more appropriate in another category. Then, all together, we'll review and discuss the proposed changes. Now, it's time to vote for the most important barriers. We distribute a set of red sticky dots to participants. The number of red sticky dots given to participants varies depending on how many barriers categories there are. If there are 8 categories, we distribute a set of 8 red sticky dots. Participants place one red sticky dot on one barrier from each category they consider to be the most important. Now, we distribute 4 additional red sticky dots, and we ask participants to place them on any 4 remaining barriers they consider to be of high importance for any category. To end, we identified the top 10, 11, or 12 barriers for continuing working structuring the barriers. We obtained a total of 82 barriers within the 9 workshops. Now it's time for the third stage, the barriers structuration, which is done with interpretive structural modeling software. The most voted barriers are introduced into the software. The main objective is obtaining a map to know what barriers significantly aggravate the others. It is important that all the workshop participants know well what do we mean with aggravate, and that all of them have the same concept of aggregate. The software will relate all barriers to all through the question, does barrier A significantly aggravate barrier B? The group has to answer yes or no. The voted majority will be introduced into the software. Once we end, we obtain a map like the one you can see in the slide. The structural map is read from left to right, with barriers on the left having the most aggravation. If barriers are in a cycle, it means that they are significantly aggravate each other. The last stage is generating options. Participants are divided into 4 smaller groups. The most voted barriers are distributed among the 4 groups, and we ask them to generate options in response to the barriers. A total of 156 solutions were found throughout 9 workshops. The methodology finished here, but our participation process continued. Once we had all the results from the 9 different workshops around Spain, a committee of social participation was organized and coordinated by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Food and Environment through the Biodiversity Foundation. Representatives from the different areas around Spain were invited, and a total of 48 people were involved. During this committee, all the results from the workshops were worked together and grouped into 3 different areas: governance, management, and communication and information. During the following months, internal work was done in order to finalize the capacity building strategy. During this time, it was decided to have 6 different areas: governance, management, communication, education and awareness, foundations and entrepreneurship, and transversal competences. In each area, different capacity building programs were set up. A total of 92 actions within 21 programs were defined. To end, we ran out a workshop with experts in the 6 different areas with the objective of complementing and validating the capacity building strategy. The implementation of the strategy begins in 2019 and extends to 2024. In December 2018, the document was finished, and during 2019 it will be published. Stakeholders from all the different areas related to the marine areas within the Natura 2000 network had the opportunity to participate in the creation and design of the capacity building strategy. To avoid conflicts, it is important to work with people rather than on their behalf. Thank you very much for your attention.